This one starts the way most collapses do. Quietly, not with a crisis, not with a dramatic midnight revelation or ER visit after chugging an entire tub of bubblegum flavored mouthwash, but with forgetting why you cared. I woke up and did not recognize the to-do list I had written for myself the week before, with many tasks inherited from previous to-do lists. It looked like someone else's life, a note left by a former tenant. There were tasks I did not remember committing to, a weird number of bullets, projects I no longer believed in, deadlines I had invented for reasons that now suspiciously feel like mania. It's disorienting when the self you used to be leaves you things to do. And he never leaves context, just cryptic phrases and unrealistic expectations. It starts with small mismatches, subtle but constant, what I had planned to do versus what I did, what I thought I wanted versus what I actively avoided, like the guy who keeps talking about more deregulation being needed for crypto. That's the thing about personality collapse. It doesn't announce itself, it drips, it seeps into the crowd, it changes the furniture just enough that one day you sit down and fall straight through the chair. The heightened tension between idealized self and current operator. One morning, you're doing diamond push-ups, the next you're staring at the stickers on your laptop wondering what sick bastard did that. It was me. I was a sick bastard. That's when it hit me. I was being haunted by my own past selves. They left behind instructions, ambitions, and half-completed task lists like cursed horcruxes. And unfortunately, I was the poor asshole tasked with interpreting them. So I've started thinking of myself as a time series. In a nutshell, a time series is just a sequence of data points tracked over time, like your resting heart rate, or your monthly expenses, or how many times you've been blocked by someone who loves you and couldn't imagine their life without you. I'm a terribly mapped and extremely noisy time series. Non-stationary, meaning I don't follow a consistent pattern over time. I change, I deviate, I lurch unpredictably. There are weird spikes and inexplicable dips in the time series graph that whispers things about me that my big titty goth AI girlfriend hasn't earned yet. Some days I write 3 essays and run 5 kilometers. Some days I live entirely off miso soup and dissociation. I've tried to forecast myself, predict where I'm heading by looking at where I have been. I look for structure, cycles, trends, anything that could pass as a routine. I build little mental models. I try to detect seasonality, recurring patterns, like the way I always seem to get deeply into regression manhwa in the first few months of the year. But it never holds. I build the model and the data shifts. I write a plan and forget it. I start the day intending to read the book I've owed back to the library for 2 months now, and ended googling, can too much tofu cause IBS or do I just deserve this? Anyway, I fed my soul to a line graph. The line said, seek help. The truth is, identity has drift. It doesn't stay where you left it. Sometimes it slides slowly, sometimes it sprints away in the night. In forecasting, this is called concept drift. When the underlying patterns in your data change over time, so your model starts making garbage predictions. It's like going out with someone and halfway through, they turn into a wolf and eat half the kitchen pantry, and you're still expected to pay the full bill. Adulthood, I think, is just the process of realizing that you can no longer assume you're the same person you were when you made the decision you're currently regretting. I first noticed a drift on a Tuesday, nothing tragic, just an eerie detachment from everything I thought I cared about. I opened my laptop and didn't know which project mattered. Every tab looked like homework assigned by a previous self who fucking hated me. For a long time, I thought this was depression, and to be fair, it looks a lot like depression. But what I realized was this: I had misspecified the model. I had designed a plan based on old data, based on a version of me that no longer existed. And then I felt shame when I couldn't follow through. You lazy fuck, I whispered to myself as if that explained why the current version of me couldn't be arsed to care about Dr. Mike's 6-week hypertrophy plan. In forecasting, a structural break is when the entire process behind the data changes. It's not just noise. It's not a bad week, it's a full shift. Like if your life was a bakery and one day someone swapped the flour for cement mix and didn't tell you. That's concrete, baby! When that happens, your predictions fail. Your tools stop working. You can't just push through. You have to rebuild, but most of us don't. Most of us try harder, we shame ourselves, we call it laziness, burnout. We yell at our own code for failing on data it was never meant to see. Sometimes, sure, it is your fault. You spent 8 hours color coding your emails instead of responding to an urgent one. You made a pie chart about your gym attendance instead of actually going. You built a personal knowledge graph with 6 different databases instead of booking that dentist appointment, and now you need multiple root canals. You don't need therapy, you need a parental lock on your own browser. But other times, it's not sabotage, it's signal. You're applying last year's mental model to this year's self. You're trying to force a statistical model designed to forecast regular patterns onto a man who just discovered nihilism and started taking cold showers after waking up at 5 a.m. to get that good, pure sunrise energy. That's not a good fit. The good news? You can respecify the model, you can start again. Not from scratch, but from reality, from the current data. You can throw out the version of you who thought he was going to bed at 8 p.m. so he could wake up early and meditate and work out and read 40 pages of Plato before work. You can stop treating aspiration as fact. In stats, respecification means you change the structure of your model to better fit the data. In life, it means you stop punishing yourself for failing to follow through on a version of you who existed only in a white monster-induced vision quest. It means saying, hey, the man who made this plan, he's gone. That dude microdosed one too many and started reading Infinite Jest. Let's not hold me to his standards. I don't believe in self-consistency anymore. I believe in looped processes, in debugging, in restarting the function mid-execution. I believe in checking the residuals and what's left over after your predictions and admitting that sometimes they're all that's real, that's tangible. Forecasting a personality collapse isn't about stopping it, it's about noticing it early, about updating the model before it eats your week, about knowing the difference between decay and change. Keep in mind that forecasting yourself is really hard because the system is recursive. You are predicting a self who's already trying to predict you right back. You are both the model and the analyst, which is why sometimes the best thing to do is restart, wipe the chalkboard, rename the column. Put the man who planned last week out of his misery and start again with the weird feral creature currently in charge. I've been trying to model attention like it's some clean trackable metric, like a response to logic. But sometimes your attention doesn't drift, it pivots completely. It becomes a regime shift. Something so different just happened that the old rules no longer apply. The real me isn't a lion. I'm a jagged, noise-ridden, heteroscedastic chaos parade with the half chub that responds mostly to the sign design and the evanescent shadow and the smell of hoisin sauce. I'm a nonlinear function with feedback loops, sudden drops, and unexpected highs. I overfit, I underfit. I try to regularize the entropy with to-do lists and break timers and dopamine fasting, but the variance always wins. Am I sick? Possibly. Am I evolving? Also possible. You don't forecast collapse to prevent it. You forecast it so you can recognize it. So you don't treat the data spike as moral failure. So you don't punish yourself for being unpredictable. Because maybe unpredictability isn't brokenness. Maybe it's just you. Eventually you'll plateau. The trend might re-emerge. You might even look back and think that wasn't collapse. That was transformation rendered in high variance. That was just another spike in the noise. And you're still here. Still oscillating, still updating, still statistically significant enough to matter.